hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Rules Podcast. All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. We're going to do an episode today that we've been kind of teasing for a long time. Robert, what are we going to talk about?
Norway.
We're going to talk about Norway. Robert, who else is here with us?
Pappy.
And?
GT.
Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
That was GT and then Poppy. All right, Robert. So I wanted you to be on the first part of this podcast because the reason we're going to Norway is sort of because of you. Do you remember the story that we were just talking about why we're going to Norway?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us the story.
We were watching episodes of a show called Outdoor Boys, and they travel and do, like, hunting and fishing.
Mm-hmm. So it's a dad, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the mom.
Yeah.
And they have 3 sons, 3 boys, right?
I think 4.
Do you think there's 4 boys? Okay.
Yeah.
And you're saying they travel, like they go all kinds of places, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the places that they go?
They went to Alaska once.
What were they doing in Alaska?
I remember them fishing.
For what?
Halibut.
So they went to Alaska halibut fishing.
Yeah.
I remember some other fishing stuff they did that was really cool. They went to Spain and fished for those giant catfish. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Called Wells catfish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the thing that they go and hunt sometimes that you really want to do?
Iguanas.
In
Florida.
Yeah. So they travel all over the place with family, and they do hunting and fishing stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's on YouTube. And so we were watching an episode about halibut fishing in Alaska, right?
Yeah.
And then do you remember what happened after that?
They went to Norway?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
YouTube.
I don't remember.
YouTube suggested another video, and that video was about halibut fishing in Norway. And so we watched that one together, and then we looked it up. And from there, we decided maybe we should go halibut fishing in Norway, right?
Yeah.
And when are we going to go? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Okay, we're going to go this summer. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And do you know who all's going?
Poppy, GT, you, and I'm going to.
Yep. And then some other friends of ours are going. Zach is going. And GT's nephew Neil is going. And some friends that now live in Idaho are going too. Nate and his daughter Emerson. So there's going to be 8 of us, and we're all going, and we're going in July. Are you excited to go?
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready to be done podcasting for the day?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, buddy. Hang on just 1 second. Thanks for doing the podcast with us today.
Bye.
Bye. Anyway, okay. So back to the episode. Yeah, you know, we had Robert telling that story about this whole thing with Outdoor Boys, which he watches obsessively, or at least at that time he was watching obsessively. And we watched that follow-up video for halibut fishing in Norway, and it was at this place called Camp Halibut. And I thought,
catchy name, huh?
Yeah, it is. Really, they dug deep on their branding there, right?
A lot of mystery in that one.
Right. I wonder what they do. And the place is like far northern Norway, way up above the Arctic Circle.
How many miles above the Arctic Circle do you think it is?
I don't know. I haven't looked that up.
I mean, on the map, it looks like forever above the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, it's way up there. Because I think Tromsø, and we'll get into all these places that we're going to go, but like I think Tromsø, which is this kind of known as the, gateway city to the Arctic in Norway, is above. I think Tromsø is above the Arctic Circle.
Really? Okay.
And we're taking a commercial airliner jet north from Tromsø.
Right.
Yeah. So, I watched this halibut fishing video, and it was actually done partnership coordination or whatever with Penn fishing reels. And, so it's like a nicely produced video. It's clearly like a legitimate place.
Right.
Catching big halibut in shallow water. And it's just like, oh my God, that would just be an amazing thing to do, right? And it's got to cost $1 zillion,
Yeah, like everything else.
Right. And so go ahead, Dad.
Well, I think to back it up, the three of us have had experience with fishing for halibut.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and go into that. We've done that in Alaska, where actually Michael rented a boat.
Well, yeah.
For 3 days.
At least.
Yeah. And maybe that's something for another podcast, but we have done it. But
No.
we didn't catch anything. I saw the video also he's talking about with the people from Penn that were there. And, I think I'm looking to maybe up the size of halibut that I've caught. So
Yeah.
and then I don't know. Also, there's other things to fish for there also.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, we could dig into that a little bit. GT, had you ever fished for halibut before fishing with us there?
No.
No. So, like the real brief history that I have with halibut, which is all with you, Dad, in 98, 97 or 98?
Don't remember.
97, I think, when I graduated from.
Once again, we're debating the number.
Here we go. You got to do this. You heard we had Robert. I don't know what'll make it into any of these episodes, but we had Robert saying he didn't know the podcast were one big argument. Like,
I don't think it matters what
are.
year it was. Let's just, yeah.
Well, there were two trips, and so the first one I think was 97. I think I was still in high school, and we went up there on a big family trip for like 2 weeks, rented an RV, drove all over Alaska, and for 2 of those days we fished for halibut. The first day we fished out in the first day I think we fished out of Homer, which is way down the end of the Kenai Peninsula, and fished with a big charter service, tons of chartered boats out of Homer.
I think Silver Fox.
Yeah, it might have been Silver Fox charter. That sounds right. And then the next day, we fished with kind of a smaller, more local guy out in the Nilchik, which is a town just a little farther up the Kenai Peninsula from Homer. And both of those were really fun days of fishing, I thought, especially than the Nilchik fishing.
Yeah, and the Nilchik I thought was really interesting. It was the first place I ever went that they launched a boat the way they did.
Yeah, how did they do that?
Well, we started out at the guide's place, and then he drove us in the truck with the boat and the trailer down to the water edge, and then he unhooked the boat from the truck. Then they hooked the boat up to a trailer. Everybody got in the boat, a tractor. Everybody got in the boat, and they took the tractor out into the water and launched the boat.
Yeah, just launch you right in the surf.
I mean, the tractor had the really large wheels in it, and we were probably in 6 feet of water in the tractor, and launched us that way. So off the beach.
And then that was with Richard. That guy's name was Richard Rowe.
Yeah.
Rowe and Sons. It was him and his son.
Yes.
And we fished with him again. So that was, like I said, that was 97. In 98, you and I and Matt and our other brother Davey, who was probably the last episode before this one comes out, will be with our other brother Davey. So our listeners will have met him. And then your cousin Jeff, our close family friend Dave Arnold, and your Uncle Sim. And we all went up and fished out of
Petersburg.
Right, at Island Point Lodge.
Yes.
And that operation was kind of similar to what we're going to talk about today. They basically gave you a boat and basic halibut fishing tackle and some bait, and you went out and fished. We fished on our own.
Yeah, I would say it was an 18-foot open aluminum boat with a 50 horsepower tiller motor, and just turned you loose.
Right, and so for whatever there was, for 8 of us, I think we had 3 boats, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then many years later, Tim, I don't know about how long ago was that?
It was probably about 10 years ago, right?
Was it that long?
Seems like it has to be.
Wow.
I would think it's got to be, probably mid 2010s, 2015, somewhere in there. We went to Homer, and kind of like a do-it-yourself thing. We rented a house for a whole week, which we could almost do a whole episode
on the Kilcher family.
Yeah. The Kilchers, who are the family that Jewel is part of, and they've been on the Discovery Channel, one of those Alaska, The Last Frontier, I think is the one that one's called. But anyway, we don't need to get into all that. That's a whole story. And we basically spent the week fishing. Now, I think at the beginning of that week, I think that we fished with Richard Rowe the first day, with that same charter service the first day.
Yeah, just for the one day.
And do you remember launching the same way? Did we launch off the beach there?
Yep.
I think we did, right?
Yeah.
So they were still operating at that time, almost 20 years after we fished with them the first time, which is cool. And then what did we do the rest of the week, Tim?
Well, Mike, I have to step back just a little bit, because when we were planning that trip, I said, tell you what, I'm going to find a place for us to stay. We'll all fly up there together, and you just figure out how we're going to fish.
Right.
And so then we're flying out there, and I said, so how are we fishing? What are we doing? You go, I rented a boat. I found this guy. He told me we could rent his boat. I'm like, really? You mean like he's going to guide us out to? No, we're just going to take his boat out. And so we got the rent me boat at Homer.
I think I found the only boat in Homer that you could rent at the time, anyway.
And it did have "Rent Me" right across the top in big letters.
Giant
everybody
sign.
knew it. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a sign that says "idiots aboard."
Right. Well, as we called ourselves in another podcast, Googans. It was very evident that we were the boat full of Googans, but it ended up being great, right?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what that did to me, that experience. If someone said, yeah, we're just going to go out in the Arctic Ocean and fish for halibut on our own and go drive out miles and miles and find the fishing zones and with nobody's guidance or help, I would have said, you're crazy. We can't do that. And
I am crazy.
And yet we did. And so I'm no longer afraid of just getting in a boat and going.
Yeah. No, it was pretty great. The fishing was good. The couple of things I remember sort of in the lead up to that was we stopped probably at Walmart or somewhere in Kenai on the way down there.
Yeah.
And I bought a harpoon, a halibut fishing harpoon. And I remember you were like, what is that? And I'm like, it's a harpoon for halibut fishing. And you're like, do we really need that thing? And I was like, Tim, this will be the best $25 we spend on this trip,
And
I promise.
Absolutely was.
Yeah, because it's very handy to be able to have a way to control those fish when you get them up next to the boat.
Right.
And it's kind of fun to harpoon them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really part of the experience.
You just wouldn't get them in the boat otherwise.
Yeah, it would be much more of a show. I'm sure if you know what you're doing, it's no problem. But for a bunch of Googans, real handy to have those fish attached.
Well, I think we have some other harpoon stories from other trips that maybe we could have another podcast.
Yeah, I think there's one I could include on an unscheduled landing podcast, because that was another one of those.
I think I can recall that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the second thing about renting the boat and doing it on our own was we get up there. Do you remember like what you asked me like when we got onto the boat?
How are we going to find the fish?
Yeah. And what did we do?
Well, you turned on the fish finder radar and looked and said, "There's 100 places people plotted this spot. Maybe we'll just go there."
Right. Like, why else would you put a spot
I don't-
on this GPS fish finder if it wasn't somewhere that you caught a fish?
That's right.
And that's pretty much what we did for like 3 or 4 days. We tooled around and checked out those spots. And I mean, generally, we didn't catch many big ones, but we didn't catch any really big ones.
Yeah, Nisi got a nice one.
Oh yeah,
Nice one.
we caught some.
Oh,
some
I think they were big for us flounder fishermen, but
yeah, no, we
yeah,
caught some like 40.
And I
40
also
plus
believe
pounders.
when we'd come in at night with the boat and have them come down and pick the fish up to take them to the packer and things like that, they were kind of impressed with what we did in the rent me.
Yeah, they were surprised enough that we caught fish. But it was great. I mean, it was great, and in fact, Kate, I think I don't know if it was the first episode Kate was on, but she told a story about being out on that boat. I think I've talked before about Nisi because that was a trip. Nisi's elbow had been broken, and she had surgery, and she was in this Inspector Gadget looking arm brace.
Yeah.
Man, she was just out there like with that halibut fishing rod, and she couldn't bend her elbow, like didn't have that much. She was just cranking those fish in. Yeah. It was totally an awesome trip. And you just mentioned, Dad, flounder fishing. I mean, we spent so much time flounder fishing when I was young, and there's just this attraction to halibut for me, which is basically like it's a flounder that can get the
and the only thing I don't like about halibut fishing is that it's like pulling a manhole cover off the bottom, 200 feet from the bottom of the ocean.
That's actively trying to get back down to the bottom of the ocean.
Right. Yeah. So that the concept of the depth of that fishing, and is just really, as soon as you hook one, you're going, oh boy, this is just not going to be fun now.
Well, that's kind of one of the things I'm interested in to see what happens in Norway, taking from our experience with the silver fox out of Homer. Because when we went out with him, I think we went like 3 hours in the boat before we stopped. And we stopped at somewhere where we started fishing, and it was 500 feet deep.
Yeah.
And we caught maybe 1 or 2 fish. I think I either got hung up or else I got a big one that got stuck on the bottom or something. We couldn't move it. We finally tore it off. And then we went to another place where it was only like 80 feet deep. And I think the first thing that happened is you caught the biggest fish of the trip, Mike. And I said to him then, why, if we can catch a fish in 80 feet, did we go to 500? He said, if we'd have started in 80 and I took you to 500, you wouldn't have been happy at all. Back to Tim's cranking up, because we had the conventional reels, and when you let all that line out, the diameter of the line that's left is very small, so for every turn of the handle, not much line comes in. So when it gets deep, it's a big issue.
But you remember, I think it was me that hooked that giant log. It took me it took me 20 minutes to figure out I didn't have a fish.
Right.
It was like, this is just a log. It's kind of like a halibut,
Well, because in places where there are halibut way up north, you have huge tides. So it's like except at slack tide, you're almost always fishing in current.
Yeah.
I mean, even though you're in the ocean, they're strong tides, and that water really is running fast. And so you can hook a log and have it really be like, well, I don't know, this thing's pulling. I think it's a fish.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, Robert and this halibut fishing video in Norway and Camp Halibut, I watched that video and just thought, got to be like something that's really kind of out of reach in terms of money. And of course, I went to the website. Next move was go to the website and start looking it up, and everything's in Norwegian krona. And it's like, it's 24,000 krona for 4 people to go. And it was kind of set up sort of like the trip we did to Petersburg, Dad, where it's, their base prices are all about, I think it was kind of base price of like 4 people and 1 boat with no guides. And I think that's what it was. I think it was like 24,000 krona for 4 guys to go for the week at the lodge, and you get your lodging and you get a boat, and of course they help to tell you where the fish are, but it's not guided. And next thing I did was go and looked up the exchange rate for the krona, and I started doing the math, and I'm like, I have something wrong here. Like, this can't possibly be right, because what I was coming up with was like, this is like $800 a person. I'm thinking this is going to be $8,000 a person, and it turns out I didn't have the math wrong. That's really what it is. So like, it's almost unbelievably affordable from a fishing standpoint, and that was a starting point. And I probably talked to Tim first, and then you, Dad, and it was just like, who is interested in doing this? And Tim and I talked about this the other day, how these trips just sort of start from one of these seeds, and you guys were like, "Yep, I'll go on that."
Yeah.
and then from there, it just grew into 8 of us now going, and then we did we've kind of upgraded some things so that we will be guided, and got a little bit nicer than the base housing.
Did you get me the king bed?
No.
Okay, then it's not upgraded.
Oh, it's upgraded. But anyway, so I don't know. We could talk, I guess. Well, let's just kind of talk about how we've got the trip planned out now. We mentioned the 8 people that are going. So basically, GT, you, Robert, and I, obviously, we all live here together in New Mexico. We're going to fly out of Denver, right?
Right.
Poppy, what's your plan?
Flying out of BWI,
Which
Baltimore Washington International.
Yep.
So that's about, hour and 15 minutes from my house or so. And we're all then going to meet up.
Yeah, where are we meeting?
Reykjavik?
Not even close.
Iceland. How's that? Iceland.
That's better.
Reykjavik.
Yeah, I think it's Reykjavik. We're going to mispronounce a whole bunch of places in foreign countries today. But, so we started checking it out, and Icelandic Air was the first airline that came up when I started looking at things, as far as getting from Denver to Oslo. And Icelandic Air, they really kind of have this whole thing dialed in, I feel like, because it's like, oh, you want to go, from wherever you're going in the States, and I'm sure other places, to Oslo, and it's got to stop in Reykjavik. Would you like to spend a few nights in Reykjavik?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, how many nights? 3.
We hope so, because your layover is 42 hours.
And so that sort of got us going on that. I've always wanted to see Iceland. And so, Tim, how long are we spending in Iceland?
I think, 3 days, huh?
Yeah, we're there. I think we're there 3 nights. So we'll have
2 full days of traveling around.
Yeah, I think we'll have a good 2.5 days to mess around in Iceland. I don't know. Have you been checking that out at all? Anything you're particularly excited for?
No. I haven't spent any time on it yet. I'm kind of last minute on that sort of thing.
Tim did rent us a car. What'd you rent?
I rented a Land Rover.
A Land Cruiser.
Land Cruiser.
Even cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we can go where we want to go. We just don't know where we want to go.
Right. But I've kind of done all the lodging booking. I've booked Airbnbs everywhere that we go. That's not the lodge, and so we'll stay in one of the neighborhoods in Reykjavik and tool around. I don't know. There's the Golden Circle, and there's kind of all that. There's a big national park not far out of.
Yeah, I have some friends that have spent quite a bit of time there, and they're going like, "How long are you going to be there?" 2 full days, 3 nights, and they're like, "Oh yeah, now you won't be able to do any of the things I like to do." They went way far away, and you know, floated in rivers, scuba dived in frozen waters.
There's something you can like there because Iceland I think sits on the boundary of two tectonic plates,
right.
And I think there's a place that you can like scuba dive or snorkel between the plates,
right.
And I don't know what they'll be like as far as active volcanoes that are close, but Robert would really like to see some lava.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, if we can get him on that.
That's one of the things I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked. What I saw, I looked and read what their traffic signs are. So if it's a circle, you don't go there. It says.
Oh
so
yeah,
that's
what
I know.
What does that mean?
It means stay out.
Circles mean stay out.
Circles mean stay out. Yep.
No line through it or anything.
No line to circle.
In terms of volcanoes or
no, anywhere on roads when you're driving.
Well, why would there be a road?
You're driving on a road with a car. There's going to be road signs just like they have everywhere else.
No kidding.
Yeah, well, the road sign, if it's a circle.
I know how road signs work. Why would there be a road with a sign like
that says don't go
They don't want you to go there.
Well, but then why did they make a road?
Why does the road go there? I don't understand.
Well, if the lava's flowing across the road a mile down the road, they'll put a circle up.
I hope I'm smart enough to not run into lava.
Denise and I saw a volcano erupting in Kona in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Let's see. That would have probably been 35 years ago because she was pregnant with Caitlin at the time.
There you go. Might have been longer. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Never mind. I could probably not even 30. She'll love this.
Yeah, she'll be all over it.
You know, she loves me anyway.
No, we cannot figure it out.
Nobody gets it. Not her parents, not my parents. And then Robert did a little Arctic animal segment in kindergarten this year, and he chose puffins as his Arctic animal. He had to do a little diorama. So he's pretty excited to go see some puffins. We should be able to do that in Iceland as well.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, there's just there's all the natural hot springs to swim in. And
right.
There's kind of a cool food culture there, I think. So I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it before on the podcast. Just travel is just one of those things. It's so worth it just for the experience of traveling and being somewhere new.
There's almost nowhere, especially anything remote like this that we're doing, that I've been in my life that I don't remember a lot about.
Right. Yeah.
I've forgotten most of my life, but those kind of trips, and especially the little side jaunts and journeys and things you go visit that you weren't planning on visiting. That's partly why I don't like to plan so much.
Yep.
Because I feel like the best moments I've had on trips were like complete accidents.
I kind of agree with that. I think that some of the best stuff always ends up being the things that that you didn't plan or that you weren't expecting.
Right.
Yeah.
From Reykjavik, where do we go?
Yeah. So Reykjavik to Oslo. So capital city. Which Oslo, I wasn't that familiar with Norway before this either, other than knowing it's a long country north to south in Scandinavia, but Oslo is kind of down in southern Norway, and I think we're there 3 nights as well.
Yeah,
I think. So we have 2 full days, and there right now our plan is not to rent a car and really just kind of see the city. Both of those airports, both Reykjavik and the international airport for Oslo, are both pretty far out of the cities. But Oslo's got Norway, I think, in general, has really good public transportation, and there's high-speed rail that goes right from the airport right into downtown, and the Airbnb I rented there is just like a couple of blocks from the main train station. So kind of planning on getting around without having to rent a car, at least.
Yeah. Should be
fun. We'll be hauling plenty of crap, right, Dad?
I was going to say.
Yes. Yeah. There's a slight concern about that.
Poppy, I am a planner, which I inherited or learned, whichever one, from Poppy, but Poppy is even more of a planner than I am, I think. So there's some concern about, because we're planning to take, obviously, luggage and some clothes to fish in, and then coolers to bring fish back in. And we'll talk a little bit about that whole side of the trip, but we're going to have plenty of stuff to be hauling around.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you guys are really both planners, so I will drive you totally nuts on this trip.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah, no, I'm planning on that.
You're planning on it. You've got that in your book.
I'm planning on Dad driving me nuts from the standpoint of like needing too much detail on the planning, and you driving me nuts from the standpoint of like not having any idea what's going on or what the plan is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and
I like to plan ahead so you can get to those moments that aren't planned.
I see.
That is not true. The first time we went to Alaska, you had like a 15-minute itinerary. There was no, like, it's all planned. It's good, though. I mean, both things are really valuable to have. I think, like, in all seriousness, when you're traveling with people, like, not everybody can be a planner, right?
No,
there's got to be some people that want to be spontaneous and are willing to say, like, no, we need to be spontaneous here, because otherwise it's like you get outside the plan and then the planners go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be that guy.
But you need some planning, too.
Sure. You need to get there.
Right. Yeah, and there's a bunch of cool museums and good food and lots of things to do in Oslo, so that'll be fun.
It will be fun.
I think there's an aquarium there. Robert loves aquariums, so we'll check that out. And then from Oslo, we fly north. Dad, you remember where we're going?
Reykjavik. No.
Nope, that's the other way.
Tromsø, right?
Tromsø. Okay.
Yeah, Tromsø. That's the city I was talking about earlier that's kind of supposed to be like.
Speaking of planning, we were going to do a little fly fishing there, right?
Well, I have an update on that for you.
Okay.
Well, so there's really good, both actually in Iceland and in Norway, there's Atlantic salmon fishing going on, and it is seasonal in the summertime, so it's happening when we're there. And I guess we should mention that. We're going in July. We're going in late July.
Right.
And we can talk a little bit about why that is. But there's good salmon fishing, particularly supposed to be in a river near Tromsø, south of Tromsø. I believe it's the river Malselva. And I found a place that seemed like they did this and set people up with fishing, and I started communicating with them, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like they weren't being very responsive anymore. Well, I just got an email this week that was they're selling the business. And there's somebody taking over. It's kind of a hotel and fishing outfit, and whoever's taking over, they don't even know if they're going to be renting rooms anymore. So I'm glad we didn't end up booking lodging there, because I think we'd be looking for new lodging anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, we'll get up there to Tromsø, and if we can figure out, we only have one full day there, and if we can figure out salmon fishing somewhere close by, I think that river is an hour and a half away or something. So I'd still love to go down there and fly fish for Atlantic salmon if we can, but I'm not 100% sure it'll work out. But that's kind of where it looks like right now anyway.
So I should bring that 8-weight rod back to the store that I just bought?
No, you should keep that.
Keep that?
Take it with you. I think all of the kind of the rest of our group will probably meet up with us there. In Tromsø. And then from there, that on Monday morning, we will leave Tromsø and head up to, the name of the town is Hasvik, which is where we fly into. So it's a commercial airliner, small jet, I think, from Tromsø to Hasvik. And Hasvik is on the island that the lodge is on, which is, do you remember? I believe it's Soroya.
I have no idea.
I think Soroya is the pronunciation. So anyway, and then we actually go north from there to kind of the north side of the island, and the lodge is on a fjord, which is, I don't know, it's gonna really be quite the adventure getting up there.
It's going to take forever. Well, it's going to take so long to get there that we won't be jet lagged by the time we get there.
Well, and that was part of the plan. I mean, that was part of my plan. Was
speaking to that, it was really interesting when I started looking how far it is that we go in Norway when we fly from Oslo to whatever the next place, Tromsø. I mean, that's pretty far.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if I look at the length of the flights, you would figure it's like 3.5 hours of flight time or something. Well, I mean, that's about what it takes to get from Albuquerque to Baltimore.
Yeah, and I was really interested. I saw a movie earlier in the year called Narvik, and it's a really interesting movie. It's about the first place that the Germans lost a battle in World War II. And then they came in and bombed the hell out of it after they lost. So eventually it was gone. But when I looked at it there, I thought, wow, Norway has a coastline, and the country is not very wide. It's mostly Sweden, 100 miles in. It looks like 100 miles in. I don't know what it is, but if you look at it on the map, Norway is all along the coast, all that distance, and Sweden is inland, not very far the whole way. What they were doing in the movie is they were mining iron ore in Sweden and shipping it out of Narvik, so it became an important port that the British and the Germans both wanted. But anyhow, that's the first time I looked and never realized how far Norway stretches from Oslo north.
Right.
And then
it's a 21-hour drive.
Yeah, if you drove
from
it.
Oslo to Tromsø.
Yeah. And I would bet that a lot of it is not in Norway. A lot of it is in Sweden, because a lot of that along Norway are the fjords or whatever they call them there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. and so Camp Halibut sits on a fjord in far northern Norway. And we decided when we looked at timing, that lodge, they focus on halibut, as you pointed out, with a name like Camp Halibut. That's their focus. But they also catch some of the largest cod in the world up there. Like, they catch cod over 50 pounds there.
Wow.
Maybe even much bigger than that. But generally, their fishing season, believe it or not, they start taking guests in like March. And there must be some kind of like warm-ish current. I mean, relatively so, because it's not, from what I can tell, obviously it's a long, cold winter that far north, but it is not like the same brutal, 60 degrees below zero kind of cold that you would expect way, way north in Alaska. It's cold, but it's not like worse than Montana cold, I think.
Why would that be?
Because of the temperature of the water.
Just the water.
Because whatever that ocean current is.
It's just all
there.
water everywhere around.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter where the winds are blowing, you're getting
right
that warming.
So they start fishing in March, fish March and April and early May, pretty much exclusively for cod, from what I can tell. And then mid to late May, they really start halibut fishing. And late May and the first half of June are really the time, if you want to go there and hunt for one big halibut, that's the time to go. Like, I think they caught some fish, to my recollection, that were in like the 450 to 500 pound class last year.
How do you get that to the boat?
I don't know.
I mean, because the boats aren't that big either, right? And then I didn't see any like chairs.
No, there's no fighting chairs.
No fighting chairs.
It's all upright gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they catch halibut over 400 pounds there, and then as the summer wears on, I think generally speaking, they catch better numbers of fish, but less smaller fish. And what the video that we all watched, because of course I sent that video around, the pen fishing video, they were fishing in really shallow water. Like, some of that was 30, 40 feet of water, and still catching big fish, like fish over 100 pounds.
Right.
Well over 100 pounds. I think some of those fish were probably more like 200 pounds. And that is around the same time we're going, which is in July, late July. And then that's kind of how the season goes. I think they catch some bigger halibut again towards the end of the season, like in September. But of course, there's a variety of fish. I mean, it's saltwater, so it's not just cod and halibut. You remember those redfish that they catch, Dad? I mean,
I don't remember their name, but like the rockfish in Alaska.
They call them redfish. They look like yellow-eyed rockfish. They're definitely a different species than yellow-eyed rockfish.
I'm looking forward to any kind of groundwater fish, like groundfish like that you can catch.
Right. They catch a big fish, a kind of a cod family fish that they call a ling. It's not a ling cod, but they get pretty big too. And then they catch a small flounder-like fish, I think called a placey, which
Did I hear they catch wolffish also?
Yeah, so that I'm probably, of all the fish we're going for, like if I caught one halibut, like one big one, 150-pound kind of halibut, I'd be real happy with that. But I'd really like to catch a wolffish or a wolf eel.
Why?
Because they're supposed to be really good to eat.
Really?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be really aggressive too.
Yeah. They're really mean. They're really ugly.
Yeah.
I kind of like ugly fish. And they're really mean. But what I've read, I think they're really kind of protected because they catch them on this side of the Atlantic too. I mean, they catch a lot of these fish on our side of the Atlantic. Like you can catch halibut in Maine. They catch Alaska halibut, or they catch Atlantic halibut in Maine. But I know they catch wolf eels in Maine, but I think they're pretty heavily protected on this side of the Atlantic. But supposedly they taste like, from what I've read, they taste like a cross between halibut and crab, which is a pretty good,
a little sweeter, kind of.
Pretty good combination.
Yeah.
Because halibut tastes pretty darn good.
Somebody was asking me the other day. So, can you see the northern lights that time of year at all?
I think yes, it's a possibility, but it's much less likely to see them. I mean, first of all, you got to figure that it's going to be light.
Oh, that's right. It's light 20
hours a day or something
right,
at that time of year there.
Right.
So that'll cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, real hard to see them in the sunshine, huh?
Right. So we're going at a time where two things are really happening. One, it's supposed to be the best weather of the year. So it's not an especially windy place from what I can tell, although like anywhere in the ocean it can be windy. And it's supposed to be a very good time for variety. So the halibut fishing should be good, although it's not the very best time of the year to halibut fish. But they still catch cod then. They catch ling. They catch placey. They catch those redfish. They catch wolffish. So I don't know. That's what I'm most excited about, is to catch a variety of fish that are all going to essentially be new to us. Because Atlantic halibut are a different species than Pacific halibut, but they are also very similar.
I'm really looking forward to Robert being introduced to this kind of travel. That's going to be amazing.
And that actually plays in a little bit to this conversation, which is that, I really debated whether we could take Robert on this or not, right? He's 6 now. He'll be 6 this summer when we go, close to 7. But, it's a big trip and it's pretty serious fishing, obviously.
Right.
But I just thought, a couple of things kind of drove the decision making. One, instead of going in late May or early June and trying to catch a really big fish, but have it potentially be worse weather, it's like, well, go when the weather's the best. That would be the best time for a kid, and then just like to have you guys going, I think is going to be such a special thing for him. Such a special memory to go with both of his grandpas and his dad, and he's old enough now that he'll remember. It's just, I don't know. It just feels like such a unique opportunity.
I'm afraid it's going to be like all of the things we introduce him to, that he's going to fall in love with it, and we'll be traveling all over the world.
Are you worried about
fishing
that?
Fishing with
though?
Robert.
Would that be such a bad thing?
No, it wouldn't.
No. I think it's just going to be such an amazing trip and an amazing opportunity for him to spend that time with all of us. And then as we sort of got into this and booked the initial trip for 8 people, we kind of bounced around, and as it is, because we did start planning this. I looked at it, I think probably in the winter, like late winter or late in the year in 2023. And I know you were like, what are you? You're nuts. You're planning a trip for summer of 2025, like in December of 2023.
Right.
But I looked at their calendar for 2024, and it was like, no, it's full. Like,
wow.
Trying to book in the same year, less than a year out, like the place was just jammed. And so we started trying to book this for summer 2025. Oh yeah. So anyway, we started booking it a long way out, really. And, hitting up people, trying to decide exactly how many were going to go, if it was going to be 4, if it was going to be 8. At one time, it even looked like it was going to be 12. Because you kind of got to book it 4 at a time. That's sort of how they plan things out at the lodge. And then as we settled in and it was going to be 8, we also started looking at, they have sort of different accommodations there, and we're staying in their apartments. So they have basically 2 apartments that are connected that we can open up to all be together. Kind of small bedrooms, but, a bathroom on each side. And then also the thing about boats is they have nice boats. Their standard boat is a 23-foot center console. Like I think it's got a 150 Yamaha on it, and they're all pretty new boats, pretty new motors. But then they also have like a 32-foot guide boat with a cabin. And that was another one of those things that when you looked at the cost of it, and they only have one, so you have to, got to have availability for when you're going. But it was just like, yeah, we got to do that. So we booked a guide boat, and you do have to book that with a guide. So then we ended up in a situation where we had 2 boats, and one boat was going to be guided the whole time, and the other boat was going to be, we had initially planned for it to just be guided on the first day. And then again, as you started looking into, what tackle would you need to take, and how is that all set up, and what will we need to rent, we just ended up deciding to book a guide for the whole time.
Yeah, why not?
Right. So, you got a week at the lodge, upgraded to the guide boat with a guide, upgraded the second boat to fully guided. You got to cover a few other costs. Like there's a little charge for them to come get you from the airport and take you back, obviously, and a few other kind of incidental things. And depending on the day and what the exchange rate is, it all settled out at like $1,400 a person.
Crazy.
Which is just insane. And so then the only other substantial costs in this are they don't provide the food. So they take you to a grocery store. There's a grocery store in the island. When they pick you up, they take you to a grocery store, and you have to buy all your own food and make all your own food. But all of the lodging has kitchen space available and everything you need from that standpoint. And then the boat fuel is an extra cost that you have to pay at the end. But I mean, I really think that, even when you factor in the travel to get to Norway and to get all the way up there, because it is jet service, so none of it is like exceptionally expensive.
Right.
I don't think you can go to Alaska and do a halibut trip for what we're going to have into Norway.
That's crazy.
And you get all the you get the benefit of international travel and seeing some.
Well, we'll see afterwards if that's the benefit or not.
Yeah,
time will tell.
Well,
time will tell.
Yeah.
No, and thanks for saying that, because that's really kind of why I wanted to talk to you guys and lay down an episode about the trip, before we go, because that it will be funny to look back in hindsight, one, at how we mispronounced the names of all the places,
Right.
but also be like, oh boy, we were
this was that. Beforehand, we were going, this is the cheapest trip ever. It's going to be the best adventures.
Right. Yeah.
Sales
No, but I
pitch.
mean,
That was a sales pitch.
Yeah.
Actually, there wasn't a sales pitch. You want to go to Norway? Sure.
I didn't have to work very hard on either one of you guys. Do you think, Tim, without that first trip to Alaska on the Rent Me, that you would have been as into this? I mean, like, would you have been a lot more trepidatious about?
No, not about the travel and the trip. No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean,
if I said we're gonna run our own boats,
run our own boats in the Arctic Circle.
When you signed up for this, that was still part of the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is going to be a ton of fun. Maybe I'm overly optimistic and naive.
It's going to be an adventure. It will be memorable.
It really will be.
I know that.
It's going to be so much fun. Yeah. And then so we'll be there. I mentioned when we're flying out of Tromsø just because the lodge basically books Monday to Monday. So like we fly in there on a Monday, we fish Tuesday through Sunday, which I think is 6 days, and then they haul us back to the airport on Monday. So that's kind of what you're getting for the money from a fishing standpoint. And so far, they've been really easy to communicate with. It's like a little bit of a pain in the butt because I ended up using Western Union. They take all their payments in krona, so you have to transfer money over there. Maybe that's another thing we'll be talking about. Maybe we'll get there won't even be a lodge. I've just transferred a bunch of money to some random dude in Norway.
There's a guy with a fishing pole.
He's good at sending invoices, though, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's good.
I would think if it was a scammer, he wouldn't take the trouble to send you an invoice on the last payment.
Any idea how many people will be at the lodge? Overall?
Yeah, good question. I think they have 6 boats and the guide boat, so somewhere 28 probably is. Okay. You know, they keep from everything I'm seeing. Of course, I follow them on Facebook now. They keep adding different housing. I think they have like the main lodge building, which holds 12, I believe, 3 rooms of 4 in the main lodge building. They have the apartments that we're in, and then they have 2 other houses as well that hold between 4 and 8 people. So I think we'll be there with somewhere around 28 to 30 people total.
That'll be interesting too. See where all those people come from.
Yeah, it looks like the folks that own the lodge are actually Swedish, and they definitely cater to people from the UK. So, but watching their Facebook page, they kind of talk about where their groups are from. I know there's a lot of folks from Poland and interior Europe that travel there to fish. So that'll be really great too. I mean, for me, and I think again, I'm so excited to have Robert be part of this and sort of show him how big the world is,
right?
And how how cool people from all over can be. So that should be a really interesting part of it. Was there anything else about the lodge of interest?
I didn't think too much about it. I mean, I was a planner at one time.
Yeah.
But I've trained my son how to plan, so I'm happy to go along. I'm going along for the ride in this one. I haven't looked into too much other than the circle signs in Iceland, and
most of your questions have been about how we're going to get our luggage around.
Right. Well, one of the things that you did not discuss yet is if we catch fish, what are we going to do?
Oh, yeah. No, good.
Yeah, yes. So then we'll go back to the luggage after you go over that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I don't know all the details off the top of my head, but they do have a minimum size on halibut that you can keep. I don't think that'll be a big deal. And that's obviously a huge part of my food plan while we're there is just to eat
halibut.
fish. Yeah. And then it turns out in the U.S., there is no import control on fresh or frozen seafood. You can bring as much fresh or frozen seafood. It can't be breaded because breading is like an agricultural product, that could move crop diseases. But fresh or frozen seafood, there's no import control. But Norway has an export control of 18 kilograms, which is about 40 pounds of fish.
Per person.
per person. So I don't think we would want to try to carry any more than that with us.
More than 160 pounds of fish home?
Total between the four of us, right? And I think it would also probably be really expensive to ship fish from far northern Norway back to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
So. Although, we might look into it, because if he could, I would take that option over dragging it through 4 airports.
No, that might be interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I mean,
I think we should.
No, I'm familiar with how we did it in Alaska, and that was nice. And it's still, you could ship halibut that you caught home from Alaska, and it was still a heck of a lot cheaper than if you tried to buy it in a store in Pennsylvania.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But we carried a lot of halibut home from Alaska too. Well, we shipped it on the first trip. We carried it on the second trip.
Yeah.
And we carried it when we came home.
Right.
I don't think I shipped any
Island
fish
Point
home.
Lodge had that whole setup that we're actually talking about doing now.
If I'm being honest, that's the part of this trip that I dread the most, is trying to drag home all the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'll
agree.
be hard. I mean, I agree. It'll be hard.
Worrying about keeping it frozen and so forth.
Yeah, and I mean, unless the flights get screwed up, how could that possibly happen?
Yeah, 4 flights. What could go wrong?
I mean, unless that happens, the places that I've rented, the Airbnbs that I've rented on the return trip, all have full-size freezers. We should be able to.
Like European full-size freezers?
No, it looks like, from the photos, at least as big as a standard American freezer.
So I think, as you indicated, this is one of my concerns. One of the things that we talked about. The plan is we're going to leave, and of course, flying. I assume with Icelandic Air, we probably get 2 carry-ons. So the plan is, of course, I'm going to have a normal carry-on with clothes and things like that in, and then the second carry-on is going to be a cooler that'll carry 40 pounds of fish.
We're not carrying the coolers on. You don't have
not carry-on. I mean,
checked luggage.
Check luggage, yes. Check luggage, and plus your carry-on. But, and of course, we'll take that checked luggage, and we'll put some things in that maybe I don't plan on bringing home. But the other part of that plan is that when we get to some of the places, Oslo or Tromsø, the food might be cheaper than we get over when we get over onto the island.
Yeah, more variety too.
Well, maybe if we can and we buy food, we might fill these coolers with food. But when we get into Oslo, we're going to take a train from the airport to Oslo, and then we'll be a couple blocks away from where we're staying. So we're going to be carrying all of this stuff. I'm trying to figure out a way that I'm going to fasten the cooler to a wheeled luggage carrier so that I can pull it along. Part of that is I have a whole lot of arthritis problems.
Yeah, you're an old guy.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. I've had 2 knees replaced. I had a right shoulder replaced, and I need my left shoulder replaced, and I'm going to be dragging all of this equipment and all of this stuff. And then when we get there, we'll throw away some of the stuff so that we can fill the cooler with 40 pounds of fish. So, yeah, some of the logistics of how we're getting all of that around is somewhat interesting.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
I promise.
And my planner says no problem, but being a planner in the past, I kind of think there might be a few things that go with it there, but we'll see.
I know that's going to be the hardest part. Coming home with all of it, with 40 pounds of fish in the cooler, and your luggage, that's going to be the tricky thing to do.
I'm planning one other thing for this trip.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to try to see if I can figure out the shipping options.
Yeah, he's already looking it up.
I'm on ChatGPT right now.
Yeah.
Just kind of trying to dig into it.
How many thousands of dollars would it take to ship 40? Probably cost more than the whole trip put together to ship 40 pounds of fish overnight from Hasvik to Santa Fe.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
While you're looking at it, check out Quentin also, please.
Well, that'll be part of the adventure too, right?
Right.
And yeah, so then coming home, we do, because we're going to have fish, we're going to try to get home pretty quick, basically just bounce. We do have a night in Oslo and a night in Reykjavik on the way home. But both of those places we rented pretty close to the airport, and once once we're home, I guess we'll see how this whole plan came out in terms of whether the whether the fish made it or not. As Clark W. Griswold said, it's all part of the experience.
That's right.
All right. Well, I am really looking forward to the trip. I'm looking forward to podcasting about the trip as we go. We're going to take at least some gear so that we can podcast along the way, and get Robert's take on the whole thing as well. So,
because it'd be a shame if your 10 listeners didn't get the story in real time.
Our dozens of listeners are dying to know how this trip went. So, all right. Well, I'm excited about this. Thanks, you guys, for being part of the adventure.
Thank you.
All right. I love you guys.
Love you too.
Hunting and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore, creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor rules,